Okay guys, so alright, so what's going on everybody? So I'm coming at you guys live from my 2003 Chevy 1500. It is the LS 5.3 liter Z71, yada yada yada. People like to know all those little details. But I've had this truck for about 4 months. I bought this truck on July 13th 2021, and I have like some notes, right? So I'm going to show you guys like pics of the truck and video of the truck as we go along here, and maybe this will just be like, I don't know, voiceover. Anyway, this is a 2003 Chevy 1500, like I said. Why did I in particularly want to get this truck? I had a 2014 Outlander Sport before this, I had a Durango before that, and I had a Chevy Colorado before that. Now when I got the Outlander, I wanted to get a truck, but I couldn't find one in my price range, so I settled for like basically a new small SUV, and it did the trick for what I wanted it to do. But my wife and I, we own a home and we have kids, and it's just easier to have a truck. It's more functional, it makes more sense, right? And I wanted the 2003 to 2006 in particular because I just like that Cateye look. This is a four-wheel drive. I'm not sure how much you can hear over like this AC, so I'm gonna turn this off. And it's off on number 3, not number 1 or 0, because it needs a blower motor resonator or whatever that is that goes underneath the dash. And I wanted a Cateye Chevy that was already lifted. I didn't care if it was diesel or not diesel. I just wanted to make sure that it was at least a 5.3, because as you other Chevy owners know, the 5.3 is like a long lasting freaking sweet motor. You can do a lot of stuff to it. You can essentially slap a turbo on this motor stock and run like, I don't know, 12 pounds and just have some fun, you know, like straight from eBay. So this motor is like a real good solid motor. Am I going to do a motor build in the future? I think so, with my buddy Nate. I think what I want to do is do all the internals, so the pistons, the valve springs, rods, clean it all up, and we're going to throw a bigger cam in it so that we can harness the turbocharger horsepower, just to have that power. So I think we need to actually add that cam, and we're going to add a new intake manifold. So I think I might be doing the new intake manifold and throttle body soon, sooner rather than later. But you know, I just wanted to get this truck basically up and running and safe. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the buy, things that were wrong with the truck, and then things that I had to go along and fix, because a lot of the things that were wrong with this truck in particular are very common for Chevy trucks in general, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube telling you guys how to fix those parts, and some of that, yes, some of those videos are correct. And for my case in particular, I ended up going down the line and replacing everything in order to figure out that the problem was not really where it was at. So a mechanic might go, well, that's because you should have blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, you like, just like anything else, if someone says, you know, hey, my hand hurts, you don't go, oh, you know what, you probably have a shoulder nerve issue that's like tingling down to your hand. It's like, no, look at the freaking hand first, right? So that's kind of like what I do with the truck. I might do body references because I work in physical therapy. I'm mechanical, but I'm not a mechanic. But yeah, I look for the actual, what's the problem first before I start going along the line. And once I find problem after problem after problem, as you get into with these old trucks, you end up replacing friggin' everything. But let's get into it. So, quote I might throw up there on the screen. The guy that I bought the truck from says, right, the rust that you see is the only issue on the truck. Everything else is 100%. I put the lift on in February, so it's not that old at all. That is the direct quote, because I was in negotiations to buy this truck. I had to actually drive 2 hours to get this truck on July 13th, and that was on July 11th. So I wanted to make sure. the 4x4 worked. He said it worked, and I said, and just, to be transparent, like, are there any lights? Is there check engine lights? Blah 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 blah. Anything else wrong with the truck? No. He said everything else was 100. Where I should have negotiated better when I got there, but if you're like me and you wanted a truck for a long time, or you wanted a sports car for a long time, whatever you wanted for a long time, you know, you're gonna go into it a little emotionally. And I should not have went in emotionally. I should have came in with my game face on. I'm older, I'm more mature than this guy who's selling me the truck. And I was just freaking excited, you know? I was just freaking stoked. So, you know, when I went into it, you know, I wanted to get, you know, my dream truck. I had all these ideas, and I'm still cranking in ideas. But yeah, I was just freaking excited about it. My wife was excited for me, you know, on top of that, because she supports me, you know what I mean? So, like, seeing her excited for me even, like, pumps me up even more, you know? But as we go along here, you're going to see that things were not 100. So, the interior, these lights in the front, they don't work. So, right in the front of the top headliner here, these LED lights don't work. The dome light works, but as I was like looking up at the headliner, parts of the headliner are actually pulling out of the sides. So the headliner is gonna be replaced. I might actually head up to a junkyard to see if they have a black one or a gray one, because that'll save me the hassle for the project that I'm running soon. I'll let you know about that. The head unit would fail at times. So I ended up, you know, I'll talk about replacing that later. But the head unit, he had like a Pioneer, like 120 HT or whatever that thing is, BT 120 BT. It's not bad. It was a touch screen, you know, but he didn't have a head antenna adapter, so I couldn't listen to my Cat Country or any of those other radio stations. And yeah, it just wasn't working at times. So I was confused as to why. You know, why is this just failing? It shouldn't do that. And then the amplifier failed shortly after buying the truck. So it does have an amp and two subs. One's a Pioneer sub and one is a dual sub. I thought they were both Pioneer. It's whatever. I had ended up having to look at the wiring there, and he ran everything in series with electrical tape. Everything behind the dash where he had his aftermarket head unit was just heat shrunk. It wasn't soldered or anything like that, which is why I had to go in there and do it justice, right? I had to fix all that. The passenger lower ball joint was ruined. I noticed as soon as I got the truck. And we had a check engine light. So I got into the truck, had a check engine light. Noticed it right off the bat. It's a P0449 code. So P0449. There's a lot of videos that say you have to replace the purge valve, the canister purge valve. Some say you have to replace the canister purge solenoid. Some say you have to replace the fuel sensor that's on top of the friggin' tank, and you can't see it, so you have to like reach your hand up there to replace it. Some say you just got to do the gas cap. Actually, nobody says you just have to do the gas cap. The guy told me that I just needed to do the gas cap. So the first thing I bought for the truck was a gas cap. Did not solve the issue. So I replaced the gas cap, the canister purge valve, the canister purge solenoid, the fuel pump sensor, all on my driveway. And then I'm gonna get back to it. My wife's calling. Hey, what's up?
You mind telling me what you're doing?
I just went for a little drive. I'm headed over to Dunkin' right now, and I'll get to CVS now for you and all that.
So you want to go see your girlfriend on a game preserve?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'll be there in a second.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll see you soon.
All right.
All right, love you, bye.
Okay.
All right, yeah, so is my wife. Anyway, so the, yeah, it had all these issues. So, long story short, we had a voltage issue, and I told them after replacing everything, I called Chevy up and I was like, I got a voltage issue. I cannot locate it. I had a multimeter. I had my voltmeter. I'm trying to find this damn wire that's messed up, and I couldn't find it. I was like, y'all needed to like hook this up to a snap-on tool freaking thing or whatever, and check this out like via computer and see what's faulty. And they did, looked it up. They said, yeah, you're right, you have a voltage issue. We just got to run one wire. And so I'll show you the wire here anyway. But They ran the wire for me, and that solved my check engine light problem. Where I had a big issue was the brakes. I kind of noticed, like, right off the bat when I was test driving the truck with the guy in the truck. I was stepping on the brake, and under like 5 miles an hour, the ABS was kicking on, not the ABS sensors. The guy said, I don't know, it's been like that since I bought the truck, and I put new hubs in it. That's what he said. So he said he put new hubs in the truck. The guy did not put new hubs in the truck, come to find out. But since I had a brake issue, I wanted to kind of look into it. The truck needed rear brakes because the pads were like worn only on one side than the other side, which was an issue alluding to me that there was like a pressure issue in the caliper. So I thought maybe I had to replace the caliper. And then I go into further diagnosing and notice that the brake lines were kinked and they were electrical taped and all this crazy stuff in the back of the truck. So I ended up having to replace those brake lines. When I went to look at the brakes in the front of the truck, they actually weren't made for this truck. So I ended up having to replace all the brakes in the front. So backs have rotors, pads, calipers were still okay. The fronts, the caliper was not okay. So I replaced both calipers, rotors, pads, and now it's good. When I was in there, we also replaced the ABS sensor because the guy said he replaced the hubs, and the ABS sensors did not solve my problem. So I ended up having to go back through, take everything back off, replace the hubs, and then once I replaced the hubs with the ABS sensor in from Rock Auto, if you guys need them, that's the best place to get them at the best price. My ABS issue went away. So, mind you, and I did that in like the hottest day of the summer in my driveway flying solo. It was crazy. As I'm going through like underneath the truck, I noticed that the tires had some wiggle. I wasn't sure as to why. And it turns out that my steering stabilizer that they had from this rough country lift was pushing into the idler arm, and the bushings were all bad on this. I don't even know if they put all the bushings in correctly on the steering stabilizer. So I went and bought a new steering stabilizer from rough country, put in the bushings correctly, and aligned the bracket correctly so it wasn't pushing into the idle arm, and now my steering's like perfect. It's like a new truck. So it's tight and it's everything I want. But yeah, so I had a check engine light and I had an ABS issue right off the bat, which is why I should have negotiated for a lower price off of there. Now I already negotiated the guy like $2,000 down from where he was at. I should have went like another $2,000 down once I noticed that it wasn't 100. Guy was being a dick. The truck had no parking brakes, so as I was taking the brakes off the back, we realized there was no parking brake, and the parking brake was stuck to the floor. I figured it might have been just like the line. No, I needed all new parking brakes. Didn't have parking brakes on the passenger rear. It had them on the driver's rear side, but they were already worn out and they're just breaking apart. The brackets were completely messed up. So my buddy Ben came down, and in order to take those parking brake brackets off, you actually have to take out the rear axles, which means you have to drain the freaking rear differential. So I went in, I drained the rear differential, I pulled out the axles, right? Well, we pulled out the axles. And where we went wrong was Ben, he worked for Chevy, and he pulled out both at the same time, which caused the spider gears in the rear differential to fall out. And if you guys know anything about trucks, if you're listening to this, you're probably shaking your head going, fuck, that sucks. Yeah, it did. So we had to get him back in, and we got him back in. We buttoned everything up. You know, during this whole process, Advanced Auto said that they had the parking brake brackets, dust shield, parking brakes, yada, yada, yada. Sure enough, we show up and they only had the dust plates. So we took off the axles for no reason because we couldn't even put the new brackets on to put on the new parking brakes. So my buddy Nate and I ended up pulling everything apart, pulling the axles out one by one, replacing the parking brake brackets, dust shields, and the parking brakes, and now it was working all correctly. My buddy Ben also tried to help me run brake lines. We ran one brake line correctly, but the long brake line that goes from the ABS module from the front of the truck all the way to the back of the truck to a little T connector, he put a bunch of pressure fittings on it, saying that they would hold, and it was leaking like a mother effer. So I ended up going to Schumacher's, and the guy Rick up here locally hooked me up with a brake line for $100, and now it's safe. So kudos to him. So anyway, I also had a check engine light for an O2 sensor bank 2, which I should have known like prior. The guy just said it was a 4119 gas cap, which was not even the truth. But there was an LED on the license plate that was out. It needed an oil change, and basically that was what was all messed up. So looking at that, you're probably like, damn, that's a lot of shit you had to fix. Oh yeah, I went through the suspension, I went through brakes, brake lines, rust. That was the other big kicker. He said he needed cab corners and rockers. So I had a guy come out, Danny from Pottstown. He actually showed up to my house. Didn't know him prior, and $4,000 he welded. I had to buy him, from Motor City or whatever on Amazon. But he welded in brand new rockers and cab corners for me, which was a big help. But I noticed I was having more of an issue at the wheel wells, so I pulled off the old fender flares that were on there, and there was rust everywhere. The fender flares were like brittle and falling apart. So I ended up having to do that myself, cut out all the cancer essentially that was around those wheel wells, weld in new plates to give it some stability, and I put in bigger fender flares, as you guys can see. I did all the body work. It had dents and dinks everywhere all along this truck. Like, the guy went off-roading for sure. This truck was beat up. I banged out on the back bumper. I banged out this big dent, so luckily it came out pretty good. But everywhere else I had to like either drill holes in Bondo, try and bang out the dents. It was crazy. So now the truck, it isn't perfect body-wise, but it looks way better than it did. The other thing I asked the guys if the truck was inspected, and he said it was. Well, I have some of the old pictures he sent me, when I asked him for pictures. And as you can see, the truck was not inspected. He gave me the truck with an inspection sticker on it that had no signature on it, no date on it, nothing on the back of it. And he told me his truck was needed to be inspected by September, and actually the date on it was October. So I don't know when the last time this truck was inspected. But I ended up doing everything to it to get it inspected. And it passed inspection and emissions in the state of Pennsylvania. So if you guys are watching this and you're not in the state of Pennsylvania, in certain areas you need to have an emissions sticker, and you have to have an inspection sticker. So your car has to pass like a big point, inspection thing. Like my ball joint wouldn't pass. You know what I mean? The LED light, or if you have a light out that's on your truck, it will not pass. If things aren't the way they should be functionally on the truck, they're not going to pass. So you have to do your due diligence and make sure your trucks are running good. So you had a fake inspection sticker, which kind of topped it off for me, recently, but it's whatever. It's in the past. But we're gonna go over what I replaced here. We'll start with the interior. Replaced the head unit. I had to rewire it correctly and solder everything correctly. Added the backup camera, so make it safe, because when you have kids, you want to make sure that you can see what's going on behind you. And with a big truck that's lifted like this, you're not going to be able to see what's going on. So I made sure I got a camera. Rewired the amp. It was in series. I ran it all in parallel, and I put new fuses all the way around, and it works flawlessly now. It's the way it should have been running before. Ran with the new wires, new fuses, and everything. It's like perfect now. It sounds amazing. I'll play some for you guys in a little bit. But the center console was also locked. Like, the latch was broken, so you couldn't open it. So I had to finagle it so that I can open it up, and then I put a little piece on the latch now, so it actually won't close all the way. So I'm gonna upgrade that in the future with a 2020, because it will fit, and I'll just get the 2020 friggin' Silverado center that has a lot of storage. It's got 3 cup holders, so it's just gonna be more for what I need for storage and whatnot. And there's a ton of stickers all over the truck, so I took off all the stickers. The door handles and the rear doors here snapped the first week I had the truck on this side, so I replaced those with metal ones, and they've been perfect since. So if you need metal ones, just get them on eBay, get them on Amazon. It's like A1 or T1 Auto or something like that. That's what you need. Exterior, as we talked about, the wheel wells are rusted beyond belief, so we put new fender flares and fixed the rust. There's dents everywhere. Did all the body work, replaced the rockers and cab corners, a lot of faded paint. I got it ready for paint. Sorry, I'm like out of focus. I got it ready for paint, and then after doing all the body work myself, and I went to Mako and got a paint job. It's single stage black. It looks great. It's got the clear coat in the paint, so I don't know. It's good urethane paint, so it ended up being okay. I built the custom exhaust for this truck, welded everything together myself. I put the exhaust in myself, cut everything up myself from the muffler. I made a custom grill for this truck, and I debadged, de-emblemed the entire truck, you know, prior to paint and all that. So it's tip top. All right. Suspension. The rear lift blocks were not secured properly. They were really loose. I can actually like move the U bolts. So I tightened everything down. The lift kit torsion keys needed adjusted. One was higher than the other, so I adjusted them properly. I replaced the steering stabilizer, as I said. Replaced the passenger ball joint, like I said, and I replaced the front hubs to solve our ABS issue. The check engine light, we replaced the fuel pressure sensor, which is a bitch because it's on top of the fuel tank. You have to feel a 15 amp fuse in the motor. I went through all the fuses to see what was corroded, because maybe that was causing the voltage issue somewhere. So any fuse that was messed up, like corroded, green corrosion, all that, I replaced it. Canister purge solenoid, I replaced that, and that's a bitch too because it's between the body and the bed of the truck. The purge valve underneath the intake manifold cover, O2 sensor, and it ended up needing that voltage issue, so I fixed that. Brakes, we did the brakes all the way around the truck. We did the brake lines, parking brakes with the parking brake brackets with the adjusters. ABS sensors, which did not solve our issue, so I had to pull the hubs, put the hubs in with the ABS sensors, and that's fixed our issue. The other thing too is tires. So this truck came with bigger tires. It came with 20 by 12s with mud tires on it, which I like, but the rears were shot. The guy never rotated the tires on the truck, so it had half the tread on the front of the truck, no tread on the back. So actually, the guys even at the local shop, because I was having like some vibration issues, they were like, "Yeah, it's because your tires are shot." So first thing, had to drop $1,000 on freaking Milestar. So I got Milestar Patagonias, all-terrain tires instead of mud tires, because I'm not going mudding, regularly. I'm just driving this truck, for what I need to, use the truck for, like projects and construction and things like that. So I don't really need mud tires. But that's just a cost, like right off the bat, $1,000 in tires. So yeah, I got Milestar Patagonias. They're sweet tires. I'll show you guys that, and they're just sweet. But I ended up selling the two front tires for like $200, so that saved me a little bit of cost. And I did a full synthetic oil change. I do full synthetic on all the vehicles, and I use like the Lucas oil stabilizer for like one of the quarts, because it just makes your truck last, like makes your cars last longer. It makes the engines last so much better. So to do breakdown, basically I paid Danny $1,000. Ben and Schumacher's together was $700. Emissions at Mavis, which I'm never going to go to again, was $54. They only took care of emissions because they would not pass an inspection. They said the idle arm had play, which really just needed to be tightened down because the stabilizer was pushing into it. Assholes. 408 went to Mitch at Main Street Station, who put the lower ball joint in for me and finished my inspection. He's a great guy. I'm going to do all my work at Mitch's at Main Street Station in Northampton. Shout out to my buddy Nate for hooking me up. The guy's a cool guy, Mitch. So if he ever sees this video, thank you for hooking me up, dude, and being a cool guy. Tires, I said, cost me $1,000. The paint job, you guys might be interested. Single stage black for this truck cost me $1,000. Pretty much $1,000 out the door. So to break even with this truck so far, I need to get maybe 14 or 15 grand for this truck. I'm just saying it just to say it, but I'm not going to sell this truck. I hope to have this truck for a really, really long time. I hope to have this truck forever. Right now, I bought it with 109,000 miles on it. I currently have 111,000 miles on it, so I only put 2,000 miles on the truck, and I built it over the last 4 months. So I've done a lot of work. The upgrades left are MIC tuning rock lights I gotta install. I got bed lights I need to install, and I bought a Star headliner kit, but I didn't install it yet. I bought LEDs for the front lights and for the backup lights because they are all halogen, despite having aftermarket headlights and taillights. possible Titan back window, possible engine rebuild with Nate, my buddy with a turbo, and Cam. So to finish everything up, you know, I had the truck for 4 months. I made it to where I like it and I'm proud of it. This is not a flex or anything like that. It's just a reminder of like hard work, you know, and if I can do it, then you can too. Just follow a plan, jump on the opportunities that like come your way, save your money, and you know, once you guys have it and you're obsessed with it long enough, you'll make it happen. And I am like that. Like when it comes to finances or jobs or, you know, my family, like I do obsess over things, but anybody who's been successful at anything has been like obsessed with it, like to the point where it's an almost unhealthy obsession. And when you get to that point, you're gonna make things happen because you want it to happen so bad that you'll do whatever it takes to get there. And that's basically where I'm at with the truck. As far as like the rock lights, the star headliner, all that, today is Cyber Monday, so I went and I actually applied for like the Amazon credit card, which gives you an automatic $200 gift card, which basically paid for everything on its own. So I had to get a credit card. It's gonna make my credit better. I'll pay it off, and I'll pay off the credit card, and like, you know, there's only $100 on it now. But I got rock lights. I got the LEDs for the front and back of the truck. I got the a star headliner kit. I just had to get that, you know, star headliner. Junkyard, I'm gonna try and find a headliner. Junkyard, I'm gonna try and find a 2020 or 2018 to 2020, 21. Center jump seat with, you know, console with the storage, and yeah. So with that, that's basically everything that I had done to the truck. That's the breakdown of the whole truck. It's a lot of work to the truck, you know, but this truck is freaking badass. It's a big head turner for sure. It turns heads wherever I go now at this point. And it's not for other people, it's for me. Like, this is the first vehicle, you know, I'm 34 years old. This is the first vehicle that I had that's like showcasing like my style, you know. And I'm a big fan of like Fast and Furious movies. I can recite like the whole first Fast and Furious movie, you know, like the back of my hand. And friggin', you know, since I was a kid, you know, I was building cars. So at 15, I had a Volkswagen Jetta that we bought for like, you know, $1,000 or whatever, and I ended up putting 2 different motors in that Volkswagen, you know. So when I look back now, I'm like, oh, you know, I was 15, 16, and I put 2 motors in a car, built 2 motors for a car. And when I look at it now as like someone who's in their 34, I'm like, damn, that's pretty like legit. If a 15-year-old kid tells me that they're building motors and stuff, like, that's legit. So, you know, just if you're tinkering around and you're a kid who's watching this and you think this truck is cool, you know, just keep tinkering around. I ended up going a different route, working in healthcare. I work in physical therapy, but it doesn't mean that I'm not mechanical. It doesn't mean I can't fix my own cars. It doesn't mean I can't fix my own house. It doesn't mean that you can't figure things out and build things and create things and do things in that aspect. And you guys are watching this on like a music station, so the rest of this YouTube, you know, business, I don't know where it's gonna go, but you know, I know I got music that I can put up because everybody likes music. Am I gonna get famous with that? No. Do I write decent songs? I don't know. You guys can be the judge. I write what I like. So, and as far as like building trucks and building cars, you know, my buddy's opening up a shop, and hopefully next house we'll have a sweet pole barn. You know, because we need to upgrade soon, me and my wife, to a bigger house with the kids and stuff. So, you know, and then we can do shoot more video, more content there, just like fixing cars and motorcycles and all that, because that's what me and my friends like to do. So with that, this is Matt. I'm signing off. If you like this video, just do me a quick favor and like and subscribe. It's gonna help me out. It's gonna help the channel out. It's gonna even motivate me to put out more content. I don't have 1,000 followers right now, so I'm not gonna get any monetary whatever. And this is just, you know, for me just to put out what I'm doing in the world, put out some positivity. And if you guys are into it, you know, show me a little gratitude. Just like, subscribe to the channel, and just keep following along. You know, if you have any questions about any of the things that I did, you know, feel free and just like reach out to me, you know, and I'll tell you kind of like what I did to fix whatever on this truck. You know, for the head unit, for sure, if I get a lot of questions about the head unit, there's people tying into the AC, and no. So I ran a fuse, I ran like an ATA fuse, essentially is what you want to call it, but it's a fuse tab to the first ignition fuse that's actually in the truck. So if you guys want to see that, let me know. Maybe I'll even show that to you here. But anyway, I'm signing off. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.
Cause we on top love. Tough love. Cause we on top love.